The Chicago Bears wrapped up their offseason program, and now they're heading towards training camp. And it's time to really make a talk about the biggest winners and losers from the Chicago Bears offseason. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Plus, Caleb Williams looks like the biggest winner overall the offseason, with Zavion Thomas definitely being somebody that can stand out there. We'll talk a little bit about Kyler Gordon and his injuries and why Ryan Poles has an underrated win that a lot of Bears fans don't realize how that helps the Bears' flexibility. Now, how he uses that flexibility may frustrate some Bears fans. So we're going to talk about all that plus more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host here, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's take a look at this content for today. Y'all make sure you guys hit that subscribe. I'm trying to get to 30,000 subscribers by the start of the season. We can only do that with your guys' help. We need the 45% of you guys that watch the daily episodes but aren't subscribed to the channel. We need y'all to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Help the channel grow. With that said, let's go ahead and get into it, man. I want to talk about the winners and losers for the Chicago Bears offseason. And I think we have to start off at number one, and that's Caleb Williams. Caleb Williams is what this whole thing is built around for the Chicago Bears. We know that, right? It's been a heck of an offseason for Caleb Williams because not only has over the course of the season become one of the faces of the NFL, a polarizing face that, depending on the fan base and the view on Caleb Williams, you can get praise, you can get acclaim, you can get hate, you can get critique, you can get a lot of different stuff. But with him being named as the Madden 27 cover athlete and already poised to make another jump in his development, this has been a great offseason for Caleb Williams. And hearing that he's already come into the OTAs and minicamps and all that, having a better grasp and understanding of the offense, which is going to help the Bears take this offense another step forward, hopefully this year, it's undoubtedly been such a good offseason for Caleb Williams and the franchise quarterback of the Chicago Bears. We have come a long way from the Bagent baddies crying and whining that they wanted Tyson Bagent to start, right? Like those murmurs have almost gone completely away because even people who still have whether legitimate or wild doubts about Caleb Williams, because there's a spectrum on that, most people realize, no, Caleb Williams is the franchise quarterback one way or another. And now it's just time to see how many of the inconsistencies, how many of the holes in his game, how many of the shortcomings of his game can we shore up as a quarterback, and that's really there. Then you look at the weapons that they turn around and got this guy. Like, no doubt, losing DJ Moore sucks and it hurts. When you talk about adding Zavion Thomas, adding a veteran like Khalif Raymond, right? Sam Roush in regards to that as well, getting Garrett Bradbury and Logan Jones in here after the retirement of Drew Dalman, the Bears have very much so basically pivoted to everything that you can look at them pretty damn well in regards to this. And I got to give the Bears credit for that. They've done that, and they did it in a meaningful fashion that you just can't overlook when it comes down to that. That adds to that. You already have Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, Kosen Lovelin, Cole Kmet here, your running backs from last year, and Common Guy and DeAndre Swift. Like, the Bears have made the right necessary move, right? And the way that the Bears, and I got to give the Bears credit for this, and this benefits Caleb more than anybody, is that the way that they pivoted after the unexpected retirement of Drew Dalman has been great. Showing the focus of getting a veteran in Bradbury, showing the ability to get Logan Jones in here. You just got to love those things. So Caleb Williams is one of the players that has benefited the most from the Chicago Bears offseason, and you just can't doubt that at all. And then another guy, Zavion Thomas. You talk about Zavion and the way that he was talked about by Chicago Bears fans after the draft went down. You know, even my boy Pat, the designer, that's my brother. We host Locked on Bulls together. But I remember, Pat, with me and Pat's conversations off air in regards to Zavion, he's like, he's just, I just don't trust him. He's a gadget player. But now, even when you hear Pat talk, and Pat still wants to see it, in the games, and a lot of Bears fans do, because in OTAs, in mini camps, all that type of stuff is easy to look good. But like, Zavion has gone from somebody that, in theory, like people were talking about in theory, and more so now that people are starting to realize, like, no, there's some legitimate skill in this kid. He's not just a guy that's just all speed. He's not Velus Jones. And that goes to the PTSD that sometimes we have as Bears fans, is that, we've been through a lot, and this franchise has been through a lot. The fan base has been through a lot. And that's why, I try to really understand everybody's criticisms, even when I don't agree. But, for a lot of people, they heard the what they heard about Zavion, and their mindset immediately went to it's going to be another Velus Jones, or could be another Velus Jones situation. And we never heard anything like we've heard throughout a rookie minicamp and OTA so far. Like Ben Johnson Caleb talking about this guy and saying, listen, it's just how much he can grasp the offense. Even Ben Johnson saying, like, no, we feel like he can be a real weapon for us. That says a lot, right? And so with the abundance of playmakers that the Chicago Bears have, even hearing that Zavion Thomas has impressed amongst the Luther Burdens, the Rome Odunze, the Kosen Lovelins, all the guys, that Zavion Thomas has still found ways to impress this team, impress this coaching staff. It has really set him up for some big playmaking opportunities as a rookie. I'm not expecting him to be wide receiver 3. I'm not expecting him to play like 60% of the downs or anything like that, but he's going to get used in opportunities that are going to maximize on his skill set. I think whether it's the return game, or the run game, or the pass game, Zavion Thomas is going to have a lot of opportunity to make an impact on this football team. And that's a lot more than what some people were thinking he was going to be able to do when the Bears initially announced him being drafted. The next guy up, we're going to stick with the offense, Luther Burden. Luther Burden has gotten so much around him, so much talk around him, right? Ben Johnson, and the way that Ben Johnson talks about Luther Burden, you know that his role is definitely going to expand with the departure of DJ Moore. He had a super impressive rookie season, and he had times where he was limited in action and things like that, but the playmaking ability that he had, the fact that the Chicago Bears, it had a top 5 offense. This is going to be a season where Luther Burden has already stood out during workouts. The chemistry with Caleb Williams continues to develop per what we're hearing, and he continues to earn the respect of Ben Johnson as the head coach, right? Which Ben Johnson said earlier in this offseason, like, it's time to buy stock in Luther Burden. I'm paraphrasing there, right? So all of that said, Luther Burden is going to have a lot of opportunity, and it's really on him to use that opportunity as a launching pad to really break out this season. I don't see any reason why Luther Burden is not going to be able to do that. Then also a winner on the defensive side of the ball is Jaylon Johnson. Jaylon Johnson and Austin Booker are the two biggest winners on the defensive side of the ball. One, Jaylon Johnson reportedly looks like he's back to his Pro Bowl caliber play, right? Like, this last season was a completely unhealthy season for Jaylon Johnson. Even when he was on the football field, we know he wasn't nearly 100%. And people have forgotten. And this is one of my criticisms with Bears fans. Bears fans are quick to forget what they have seen with their eyes, and they can be a prisoner of the moment sometimes. And last year was very concerning. Like, when you looked at Jaylon Johnson play, I'd be remiss if I didn't say I understood why most people had some concerns in seeing him play. But the fact that he attended voluntary OTAs and veteran minicamp, and that he made already an impression on the people there, that he looks like he's locked in, ready to go, 2 interceptions on Caleb Williams. And it's just a reminder that when Jaylon Johnson is healthy, he's one of the best corners in the game of football. And so having him being injury-free, it's completely a win for Jaylon Johnson, because he needs to hit the ground running this offseason and remind the NFL and Bears fans, for that matter, the ones that have forgotten, how good he can be when he's healthy and when he's on. And let's see what Jaylon Johnson can bring for the Chicago Bears team, because I, for one, am really excited about it. And then a guy, Austin Booker, I say that he's a winner for this. The Bears think so highly of Austin Booker that he's part of the reason they did not make a wild investment in the defensive line. They really want to give Austin Booker a chance this year to show if he can be that long-term guy that can make a jump for this defensive line, and then that way they don't have to worry about spending big money on the defensive line next offseason. And so that investment in him, it's all on him now to show what he can bring. He has to stay healthy. He has to bring it consistently. He does those things. This could be a season where people have talked about the Bears pass rush as understandably one of the biggest kind of thorns in the side of the Bears, and say that, listen, that Austin Booker kid, this guy brought it. And the development that the flashes that we saw last year, bring all that together this season. So Austin Booker definitely is a winner as well in this because of those things. But there has to be losers in everything, right? One of the losers, of course, is Kyler Gordon, mainly because he's still not healthy. Limited participant during the offseason program. He dealt with another soft tissue injury. And I say this, it's too early to worry right now. We still have so much time before the season starts that it's not necessarily a huge reason to worry right now. But Kyler Gordon just is not, for somebody in Dennis Allen to talk so glowingly about how he wanted to use Kyler Gordon, and for us to then not see that last season and him to start off with another injury, it's a bit of a concern for him. And Kyler Gordon has to step up this year, and hopefully he's going to be healthy, and we'll see. Another guy is Tyreek Stevenson, the drafting of Malik Muhammad, and what Malik can be as a cornerback in this league, and somebody that just, it could be just better than him. Regardless if Malik Muhammad ends up being a shutdown corner in the NFL level or not, he's definitely somebody that's going to come in and push that cornerback room. And Tyreek Stevenson needs to come into this one and be focused, be locked in, because if he's not, it's going to be a bit of a struggle for him. And he's not going to just be the de facto cornerback 2. And he, other than last year, he was cornerback 1. Like, he's never been the every down starter cornerback 2. He's always shared that with Terrell Smith. So, now I think in regards to that, it's now going to come down to Malik Muhammad pushing him further and where he sees that at as well. So we'll see how these things work out for the Bears. Overall, I think there's a lot to take away from this offseason, a lot of Bears players that are going to benefit from it, and we'll see, right? And then also, I guess we can mark a loser as the city of Chicago, with the Bears looking like they may be moving on to Hammond in Illinois, but we're not going to write the chapter on that one yet. We're going to see how that ends up going. So with that said, though, I do want to talk about Jedrick Wills. This is a guy that the Bears took a shot on, in the offseason, right? And I do think that OTAs may have painted this picture where Jedrick Wills may not be what we're hoping he's going to be. Now, again, much like I said with Kyler Gordon, there's a lot of time left for Jedrick Wills to get healthy and stuff like that. The Bears signed him to a 1-year, $1.2 million contract, and then it did seem like it was even a little bit of a risk then too, because he set out last season with a knee injury that he suffered 2 years ago, and there's that, right? So he was brought in to compete with Theo Benedict and Braxton Jones for that left tackle position, right? And it looks like now, with Ozzie Trapillo being out, that Jedrick Wills is just not going to be a guy that's there. He showed up to Bears OTAs, but it's been almost completely silent on what's going on with Jedrick Wills. Now, one can say that maybe it's silent because he's just doing what he needs to do, but I do think this is that the silence, the fact that we haven't heard really anything about Jedrick Wills and where he places in that battle for the left tackle position, I don't even know if Jedrick Wills is going to make the final 53-man roster. And that's a thing. Like, is he like, there's a legitimate reason to ask. The question is that, is he on the roster bubble heading into training camp? And if he's there, it could be. Like, we already heard Ben Johnson praising Braxton Jones in OTAs. We heard him giving the credit to Braxton and how big and ready Braxton Jones came into this with, right? But I do think that what it stands right now, it seems like Braxton Jones is the favorite to win the left tackle position, right? And so with Benedict and Wills, it's like if these guys don't have very strong training camps, it is what it is, right? Now, a lot of people would say that, how high was Benedict ever really on the list to win the job? We'll see, right? He was solid at times last year, bad at times, which averages out to be about average, right, when it comes down to it. But I do think this is that, with Ozzie Trapillo being out, you need depth at that left tackle position. And if Wills is a player that, we know he has plenty of experience, right? The 10th overall pick by the Cleveland Browns in 2020, he started 57 of 58 games before his knee injury in 2004. But right now, it does look like Wills, he's not going to win that starting tackle position. He may be a swing tackle. He may get some looks at right tackle. He may get some other things. And if he can be a swing tackle, great, right? Like, for $1.2 million on a 1-year deal, if he comes into the season and can play swing tackle for the Chicago Bears, I don't look at that as any type of negative long-term in regards to it. But for somebody that has played at the heights that he's played at when he's been healthy, there's just no doubt that Jedrick Wills being a non-fucking factor right now, apparently in the offseason program so far, has to be looked at as a little bit of a concern at minimum and a huge concern at the max when it comes down to it, as far as him maybe not making the final 53-man roster. So we'll see how it ends up working out, but it seems like Jedrick Wills right now is on that roster bubble. Now, is he going to make it still because of the state of the Bears' offensive line and with Ozzie Trapillo and players being out? Maybe, right? But, I think that it goes from a player that people looked at and said, hey, he can really swing this left tackle battle, to now becoming a player that is just like, he may just end up being depth for the team this season. And if that ends up being the case, it's not necessarily some huge negative if it ends up being the case, but it does make you look at it and say, okay, what's happening here? And, that goes along with Kieran Amagaje too, because we ain't heard shit about Kieran Amagaje. So those two players combined, it just raises some questions on what's going to happen with these guys. What are they ready to do? What are they ready to contribute? If they're ready to contribute anything at all. And with it looking like maybe it's unlikely, then you got to look at that and say, all right, man, what's going to happen here? But let me know what you guys think on that part down below before we get out of here. All right, I do want to talk about this, right? Somebody pointed out that one of the underrated things that Ryan Poles does really good about running this team, and I want to talk about this article in regards to this and what was said about it. This one comes from the Windy City Gridiron. Jacob Efante said this. This isn't one specific move as much as the overarching themes in Poles' tenure as a Bears general manager. When he took over the role, his predecessor, Ryan Pace, left the Bears in the bottom 10 in cap space with an aging roster that clearly wasn't going to compete. Poles inherited several bad contracts, releasing several overplayed veterans and trading others who still had value. In his first year as general manager, Chicago led the NFL with over $93 million in dead cap. Some of the dead cap carried over into 2023, but in each of the last off seasons, the Bears has had a tremendous lack of dead cap space compared to what Poles inherited early on. They ranked 26th in dead cap in 2024, 32nd in 2025, and 22nd in 2026. The DJ Moore trade is eating most of the dead cap this year, and there'll be no dead cap on him or any other of the other 53-man rosterable players in 2027. As of this writing, that's a testament to how well Poles and his regime have managed the finances. Under Ryan Poles, here's where the Bears have ranked each of the dead cap hits in the year. So they were first in dead cap in 2022, 14th in dead cap in 2023, 26th in dead cap in 2024, dead last in the NFL in dead cap, which is good, in 2025, and now they're going into this season at 22nd because of the DJ Moore trade. I know that this can be something that can go over people's heads, right? But roster flexibility, not being forced to have to give up good players, is exactly where you want to be. And dead cap is something that holds teams back in that. Ryan Poles came into a situation that was not clear, and he cleared up the dead cap. Now, again, as I said in the opening, some Bears fans are going to look at this and say, all right, what are you doing with that flexibility? Why our defensive line isn't in a bad place? And I agree with that, right? But I think when you look at it, $12 million of the Bears' dead cap this season came from DJ Moore. Another $4 million came from Drew Dahlman because he suddenly retired. So if you take away that $16 million, the Chicago Bears are right there towards one of the bottom three teams as far as dead cap money in 2026. So I think that you have to be able to balance the sheet, right? When we talk about Darnell Wright's contract extension, which could come between now and some point in training camp, Caleb Williams' contract extension coming soon, that you got other decisions you need to make on players like Tyreek Stevenson and XYZ. But I think overall, like Ryan Poles' ability to look forward and think about the finances is what keeps your team from being put in a black hole. Now, you have to use that correctly. And that's the thing that I'm always going to agree with Bears fans on is like, okay, you've now created this space where you don't have dead cap, you have a clear cap sheet, and you have a good cap sheet, but what comes next with it? That's what you have to do in regards to that, and we'll see. We'll see what's going to happen in that. I look at this and I say this to myself, is that I'm happy that we don't have to worry about dead cap money, but we're going to have to worry about the salary cap ballooning up, especially as the players that Ryan Poles and stuff has drafted show themselves to be ready. Now, what's the next step? How do you balance re-signing your own players while still finding ways to consistently add to what this team is lacking? Of course, the draft is always going to be there, and Poles has shown himself to be solid in his draft decisions, but eventually you are going to have to make a swing, and every team has to make a swing on a free agent at some point. You're not going to do it all just through internal development, and that's what the next phase of this. You've done really good at managing dead money and the cap space, but now finding a way to extend players that have shown themselves to be really good, and then also finding ways to add new wrinkles and new depth to this team, that's the next phase for Ryan Poles. How he manages this next phase is going to tell a lot about where the Chicago Bears are going forward. So let me know what you guys think on that part down below. Last topic of the day before we get out of here. A lot's been made of Kosen Lovelin. A lot continues to be made of Kosen Lovelin. We've heard Ben Johnson call him one of the most consistent players he's ever been with. A strong rookie season in which he led the Bears in receptions and receiving yards, right? But I think when you start looking at some advanced data came out in regards to Kosen Lovelin that may point to him not just being a good young tight end, but he may continue to be a matchup nightmare for other teams as this continues to go forward. This one, comes from the NFL in regards to this one. We're going to look at this, and it says this, right? This is according to Summer Sports. Kosen Lovelin ran the 17th most routes among tight ends last season at 391. He was also second in yards per route run at 1.82 and tied for sixth in targets per route in 0.21. Among tight ends with at least 250 routes run, that proficiency could naturally erode with an expected notable increase in volume, but that can also be somewhat offset by said volume. Despite a tepid start to his rookie season, Lovelin had a team-high 14 red zone targets. Two others had more at 10 red zone targets for the Bears last season in Olamide Zaccheaus, and Olamide is how you say it. Zaccheaus, DJ Moore with 11, and they're both gone. Those targets can only viably go to some other places this year, and Lovelin is arguably first in line to soak up some extra scoring value. So that's saying that Kosen Lovelin is going to be in a position to basically benefit from scoring in that. and he's going to be put in some really good scoring situations for the Chicago Bears next year. We keep hearing it. Added to the route tree for Kosen Lovelin. They added the responsibility of being one of the most consistent players. Now, the scoring opportunities specifically in the red zone going up for Kosen Lovelin as well. This is going to be a huge season for Kosen Lovelin. He just has to stay healthy, as everybody does, knock on wood. And, but Kosen is going to be set up like a lot of these Bears fans. How many Bears are we talking about that can have legitimate breakouts? Let's just look at the offseason. Kosten, Caleb, Rome, Luther, right? Like all those guys can have breakouts. Kyle Monangai can have a breakout season this year. So a lot's been making up. I'm trying to temper expectations on the offense. I know I've been hyping the offense up a lot, but there's a lot of potential here for the Chicago Bears offense. And let's see where it takes us in 2026. But that's going to do it for today's episode, y'all. I want to hear from you guys on this one. Who was the biggest winner for the Chicago Bears offseason? Is it Caleb Williams? Is it Zavion Thomas? Is it Luther Burden? Is it Kosen Lovelin? And who was the biggest loser, you think, out of this? Is it Kyler Gordon because of the injuries? Is it Tyreek Stevenson because a guy's ready to take his spot? Is it guys like that? Let me know what you guys think about that down below. Drop your thoughts down in the comments. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or an upload. You can follow us at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, chicagobearscentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.